disperse you a little bit in the following now. Indeed, let's come to some nutritional risk factors for human cancer. And clearly, colon cancer in particular, usually combined with rectal cancer, but the epidemiology of these two types of cancer is slightly different, has been epidemiologically linked to the consumption of red meat. A large number of reports ascribe the higher incidence of colorectal cancer after prolonged consumption of red or processed red meat, smoked meat, and air-dried meat, for instance, particularly of beef, by about 20 to 30% in this group of the populations. Countries with the highest rate of red meat consumption, a couple of them are listed here, many of the European countries belonging to the same category, commonly reveal a high rate, specifically also of colon cancer, not so much of rectal cancer in those circumstances. Now, if one looks into the World Cancer Report, which came out in 2007, a new one will appear this year, then the major risk factors for colorectal cancer were cited here were red meat and processed meat, equally active in increasing the risk for colon cancer, more or less. Now, if we look into the geographic epidemiology of colon cancer, it's interesting to note that the regions indicated here in red are those with a high risk of colon cancer, particularly also here Australia and New Zealand, Japan, Korea, and there are a couple of others which have a relatively low risk of this cancer. Particularly striking is India, where the main meat consumption is really poultry, and the Hindu population does not consume beef at all, except for some other religious groups. Beef is not consumed in India. Northern Africa, where lamb and mutton and goat meat plays a major source of meat. China, with a very high rate of pork consumption at the same time in these countries. It's striking that the countries which show a relatively high rate of meat consumption, red meat consumption, of beef consumption, seem to have a very high risk. Now, chemical carcinogens discovered in 1987 by Sugimura in Tokyo and his colleagues have been claimed to be the reason for this increased risk. They are produced during broiling, roasting, frying, or curing. And these are clearly N-nitroso compounds, heterocyclic amines, aromatic hydrocarbons, and a couple of others. Now, if you take these